were camping by a small, isolated lake deep in the wilderness of New Mexico, surrounded by thick, oppressive trees that loomed like silent sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. My husband and his family formed a group of 10, huddled together for warmth and a false sense of safety. Nearby, a small group of 6 strangers occupied another campsite, their laughter cutting through the air like a knife as they roasted s'mores and swapped ghost stories. But as night fell, a suffocating darkness descended, swallowing the light and twisting shadows into nightmarish shapes that danced grotesquely around our campfire. What was supposed to be a peaceful escape soon spiraled into a waking nightmare. A sound sliced through the night, a cry that pierced the silence like a blade, sending icy fingers of dread crawling down our spines. It was the desperate wail of a little girl, pleading for help. A chill rippled through the air, and we froze, exchanging terrified glances. None of us had brought children. The cry sliced through the night again, echoing through the trees, clear and haunting. It beckoned us, a siren call in the oppressive darkness, though against every instinct screaming for us to stay put. We found ourselves compelled to search together, stepping into the woods that now felt alive with unseen eyes watching our every move, waiting for us to wander deeper into their lair. Behind our campsites lay a vast, shadowy field, dark and foreboding. As we ventured further, our flashlight beams flickered and struggled against the oppressive gloom until they fell upon something unnatural, a tall, impossibly thin figure standing about 100 feet away, its skin an unsettling shade of white, almost glowing sickly in the dim light. It was grotesquely elongated, looming at least 6 feet tall, utterly motionless. Yet the cries continued to emanate from its direction, twisting into a grotesque parody of innocence. Our hearts raced as we crept closer, the air thick with dread. The figure began to move not with urgency, but with a deliberate slowness that was more terrifying than any sprint. It retreated into the dense trees, its movements unsettlingly fluid, like a marionette controlled by a cruel puppeteer. We stood there, frozen, the cries still reverberating through the woods. They came again, more insistent, more desperate, echoing through the trees, each wail dripping with anguish. It felt as though the darkness itself was alive, coiling around us, ready to consume our very souls. How could we sleep when something so unnatural lurked in the shadows, its presence palpable and predatory? As the night dragged on, sleep eluded us, replaced by a paralyzing fear. The cries returned, morphing into chilling giggles that echoed through the trees like nails scraping against bone. It was as if the forest was closing in, the trees twisting into grotesque shapes, whispering secrets we dared not hear. The figure's chilling silhouette emerged and vanished between the trunks, watching, waiting. The air grew colder, and with each passing hour, the cries transformed into something darker, horrific sounds that mingled with the crack of bones and the wet squelch of tearing flesh. A rancid smell wafted through the camp, sharp and acrid, like decay itself had seeped into our very souls. It was no longer just a girl crying for help. It was something insidious, a malevolent entity that had feasted on innocence and was now hungry for more. We huddled together, terror-stricken, praying for dawn to break and the sun to obliterate the suffocating darkness. But as the night dragged on, we realized with horror that we weren't alone. The figure had returned, its silhouette framing the trees, moving ever closer, its twisted limbs stretching toward us as the cries morphed into cackles of pure malice. And then, silence. The darkness wrapped around us, heavy and suffocating, as we waited for the first light of day to cut through the night. But when dawn finally broke, we were met with an unsettling scene, our campfire cold, the ashes scattered like forgotten memories. The forest was eerily still, the echoes of the girls fading into a haunting whisper. We felt the weight of eyes upon us, as if the trees themselves were watching, waiting for our next move. As we packed up our gear, the forest felt different, watchful and sinister. And deep in the shadows, a faint giggle echoed, chilling our bones to the marrow. The darkness was still alive, and it hungered, waiting for the next group of unsuspecting souls to wander too far into its depths. We stumbled back to our cars, hearts racing, glancing over our shoulders at the trees that seemed to shift and sway, their branches clawing at the sky like the hands of the damned. But as we drove away, a final realization settled in the forest was not just a collection of trees. It was a predator, and we were merely the prey, destined to haunt the borders of that cursed place, our souls entwined with its sinister grip. And somewhere in the depths of the woods, the laughter of the unseen children echoed, a reminder that once you enter the darkness, it never truly lets you go.